I know some of my colleagues have read out various excerpts of the Deputy Prime Minister's official letter of resignation, but I want to take the time to actually read it out, Mr. Speaker, and to reflect upon it for a moment. This is dated today's date. Dear Prime Minister, it has been the honour of my life to serve in government, working for Canada and Canadians. We have accomplished a lot together. On Friday, you told me you no longer want me to serve as your finance minister and offered me another position in the cabinet. Upon reflection, I have concluded that the only honest and viable path is for me to resign from the cabinet. To be effective, a minister must speak on behalf of the Prime Minister and with his full confidence. In making your decision, you made clear that I no longer credibly enjoy the confidence and possess the authority that comes with it. For the past number of weeks, you and I have found ourselves at odds about the best path forward for Canada. Our country today faces a grave challenge. The incoming administration in the United States is pursuing a policy of aggressive economic nationalism, including a threat of 25% tariffs. We need to take that threat extremely seriously. That means keeping our fiscal powder dry today so we have the reserves we may need for a coming tariff war. That means eschewing costly political gimmicks. Emphasis mine, Mr. Speaker. Political gimmicks, which we can ill afford and which make Canadians doubt that we recognize the gravity of the moment. That means pushing back against America First economic nationalism with a determined effort to fight for capital and investment and the jobs they bring. That means working in good faith and humility with the premiers of the provinces and territories of our great and diverse country and building a true Team Canada response. I know Canadians would recognize and respect such an approach. They know when we are working for them, and they equally know when we are focused on ourselves. Inevitably, our time in government will come to an end. But how we deal with the threat our country currently faces will define us for a generation, and perhaps longer. Canada will win if we are strong, smart, and united. It is this conviction which has driven my strenuous efforts this fall to manage our spending in ways that will give us the flexibility we will need to meet the serious challenges presented by the United States. I will always be grateful for the chance to have served in government, and I will always be proud of our government's work for Canada and Canadians. I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues as a Liberal Member of Parliament, and I am committed to running again for my seat in the next federal election with gratitude. Signed, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. What the letter does, it simply validates the rumors that have been circulating for weeks, if not months, that the Prime Minister was at odds with his Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance in terms of the governance of this particular country. how we're going to achieve that by way of economic policies. It confirms all along what we have always believed in this particular Prime Minister, that his credentials, his self-proclaimed credentials of being a proud feminist, was always fake, Mr. Prime Minister. It's all about gimmicks. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I elevated you there for a moment. It's all about gimmicks. It's all about virtue signaling. I've lost track of how many strong, effective women who have been elected as Liberal members of Parliament, who have gone on to be appointed to very senior roles in government. Jody Wilson-Raybould, to take one example. I was proud of the fact that at the time of her election and appointment as Canada's first female Indigenous Justice Minister, Attorney General, I was in the ranks at that point, provincially, as a Crown Attorney. And I know she did her best. She put her heart into that job, and she stood by principles that have governed lawyers upon their call to a particular bar, of integrity, of knowledge, of confidence. And the ordeal of the SNC-Lavalin affair, Mr. Speaker, highlighted the integrity and the confidence that she maintained in that particular role, because she wasn't going to be bullied, and that's the term that's appropriate for the actions of the Prime Minister, bullied, threatened, and intimidated to make a decision that compromised her role as the Attorney General, but compromised her sense of right and wrong, her integrity, her ethics. And her refusal to carry the water for the Prime Minister to ensure a sweetheart deal for a Quebec-based company under the proviso of terms that turned out to be completely false, as advanced by the Prime Minister and this government, she said no. She spoke, her words, truth to power. And she'll forever be remembered for the courage that she displayed. But that courage, which should be lauded and should be encouraged and should be supported by a true leader of a G7 country, was dismissed so summarily by this fake feminist. He has let down women across this country, time after time after time. He turned an event a couple of weeks ago into a partisan event at Equal Voice here in Ottawa, used it as an opportunity to again criticize the same country he is trying to work with, trying to avoid a 25% tariff. He takes this as an opportunity to lament the fact that Americans now twice did not elect a female president. That's not how you negotiate. And it's no small wonder that in, I think it was today's paper or yesterday's paper, Toronto Sun, Brian Lilly, headline, premiers are stepping up to do the job Trudeau won't. They're taking active steps to deal with the border issues.
He knows. He knows.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Leader of the Parliamentary Secretary to the Leader of the Government is rising on a point of order.
The member, I think, through self-awareness, is aware that he wasn't supposed to use the personal names.
Does the
Yeah. And I do thank the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. It's something which it passed by me, but even if it is contained in an article, it's important for members to make reference to the title or to the riding that the person holds and not to their last name.
Fair enough, Speaker. But the article goes on to show, apart from the Prime Minister and various ministers talking about a Team Canada approach, what have they actually accomplished? What measures have they stipulated to this House and to Canadians? What steps are they going to take to address the concerns raised by President-elect Trump about the dangers of our porous borders? Apart from making that announcement, he's done nothing. It's reflective of this government. Make an announcement, don't follow through. Time after time after time. So the article goes on to describe what Ontario is doing. It goes on to describe what...
ask the honourable member just to be careful with his microphone, paper against mic.
It goes on to describe what Alberta Premier Daniel Smith is doing. It goes on to describe Manitoba Premier Webb Canoe, Quebec's Premier Francois Legault, taking all immediate effective steps in the hopes that they show leadership that this Prime Minister is most assuredly lacking. But to the point about his fake feminist credentials, this is not just any old Minister of Finance. We know that he's lost 2 Ministers of Finance since 2015. This Minister of Finance, the member for, yes, thank you, colleagues, was the Deputy Prime Minister. She carried an extremely important portfolio, clout. She was his biggest cheerleader. She withstood numerous complaints and concerns. She was forever loyal to this fake feminist Prime Minister. And what did she get in return? She was left dangling in the wind, Mr. Speaker, literally all of last week when the rumors were circulating that she wanted to deliver the fall economic statement in a direction that was not approved by the Prime Minister. Political staffers started to leak stories to the press. And notwithstanding, it's understandable why opposition members would use that as an opportunity to just clearly demonstrate how he has lost not only the confidence of Canadians, the Prime Minister, he has lost confidence in his own cabinet. And the Deputy Prime Minister listened. She was not supported at all by the Prime Minister, said nothing to highlight her credentials or to telegraph his support for her. The writing literally was on the wall, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, I think it was only one other female minister last week who actually came to her aid and demonstrated her credentials and what she has done for this particular country. And while I may disagree, and I will disagree till I'm blue in the face, about the direction, the failed direction she has taken this country. And I think it's not just Conservative members who would agree with that statement, it's Canadians. Canadians have, for years, have lost complete faith and trust in the institution. Our federal institution, they've lost faith and trust in this Prime Minister. They had no faith and trust with this Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. You take a look at what's happening in this country, Mr. Speaker. He's made a mess. He's broken everything. He is weak on immigration. He is weak on our borders. He is weak on economic policy. He is weak with respect to criminal justice reforms. He tries to champion this manna from heaven, this GST holiday on goods that might make a small, minute difference in some of the lives of some Canadians, but on a grander scale, is that the best that this government can do? And on the weekend, I was actually really shocked. I'm just trying to get the name of this minister correctly. The Minister of Families, Children, and Social Development introduced a series of infomercials on her social media while millions of Canadians are struggling, not to buy Christmas presents, struggling to put meals on the table, to feed their children, to keep a roof over their head, to put clothing on their children's backs, to pay their taxes, to pay their utilities. We have a Liberal cabinet minister smiling away at various aisles in the department store and highlighting, look at this, no GST on car seats.
Teddy bear.
No GSTs on a teddy bear. And then she pulls out a bottle of wine. No GST on this.
Burp.
Tell that to the 2 million Canadians who are not going to be enjoying a glass of wine. They'll be lucky if they get tap water, maybe some orange juice. They're not going to be enjoying what this Liberal cabinet minister wants to demonstrate is going to make a meaningful difference in the lives of Canadians. So in a roundabout way, I can go back to Green Slush Fund. I can talk about the substantial millions and millions of dollars of waste. It's projected at least $400 million, if not higher. You take a look at all of the scandals that this government has been involved in since 2015, and I bet you could actually surmise that we're talking that over $1 billion of mismanagement, fraudulent disbursement of taxpayer funds have been the hallmark of this Prime Minister and this government and this failed Liberal Party of Canada. This is real taxpayer dollars that could have made such a substantial difference in the lives of Canadians. Healthcare alone, we're paying more to service our debt than we transfer to provinces and territories for health care. Take a look at where that $400 million just in the Green Slush Fund alone could have gone. The RCMP has opined that could have made a substantial difference to frontline officers. The CBSA, our porous borders, the agents who are struggling to inspect all those containers coming in. As the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada stated last week and confirmed by CBSA, 1% of those containers are inspected. That's where taxpayer dollars could be better spent. That's how a conservative, a common sense conservative government will listen and deliver for the people of this country once and for all, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Here, here.